documentary is something of an anomaly, but that would only make sense as it matches the tones and vibrations of its subject, me, a being that for all intents and purposes is quite the anomaly, unarguably so. I've put this off for so long. I suppose I should begin with some prefatory note explaining to you that this work is the composite autobiography of an alpha spirit, rather than singularly concerning the present corporeal body, a mere genetic vehicle that is more readily identifiable with its author-editor. Well, see, that's the problem with even doing this, is I know how fluffy and ridiculous, bizarre it's going to sound for most of the people, and that type of reaction is already expected. But I also happen to know that this has been long anticipated, expected, prophetically, predicted by quite a few, and so it's for them that we're really going to have to do this for, and it'll be interesting. But there's no doubt going to be further questions, bombardment of the office with more correspondence seeking to verify or validate this, when it's all said and done. And I don't know. I've withheld it for so long that there's going to be nothing more to be really said about it once it's all said and done. It is what it is. It's basically the final word. For those of you watching that are as yet unfamiliar with my use of terminology, the alpha spirit is not even what most people think of regarding that truer, more eternal self that occupies the body. The genetic and ancestral memory of the body is actually what most are tapping into, even when they work with their own past lives and regressions into genetic healing using contemporary New Age methods. This is not necessarily able to be labeled invalid or incorrect, but it does still tend to deal with an energy that lingers more closely with the physical form one takes on in life than what their actual spirit is concerned with beyond this mortal existence. So my historical role with the Anunnaki is something of an anomaly in and of itself. It's even more so than my attempt to actually disclose it at this point, and then kind of personalized tale. But I'm in the awkward position of finding myself using terms like they and them and regarding these beings versus myself, and this is kind of part of the story too. And there's a long history of separations between me and them, and some of the reasoning for this is going to obviously become self-evident with the telling of the tale, but you gotta understand that this isn't an oversight either. There's an obvious reason why it is difficult to equate myself with them, especially in this current form I occupy. But difficulty I often find in truly identifying with them actually runs deeper and has both philosophical and biological sides to it, as I hope to help people understand. For those not already familiar with the term, Anunnaki means literally heaven comes down to earth, and it is an ancient Mesopotamian originating term. It was used to describe the race that they interpreted, and were actually well programmed to interpret, as sky gods. This semantics is quite accurate, though it could actually be used to encompass much more than simply a singular race, as many things come down from heaven now, as various species are described by folks separated as Greys and Syrians and reptilians and so on and so forth. And yeah, material existence has a lot going on in it. In spite of all that, the more recent, geologically recent, divine encounters between humans and ancient aliens that appear in popular mythologies actually do heavily rely on a specific Anunnaki family, the one that the word was coined for. So, the Anunnaki, as I and most refer to them, as well as beings like them, are in essence very self-aware alpha spirits. And this is important to understand to truly get my story, because more than simply being this highly advanced race of aliens that happened upon the planet Earth and decided to set up camp, these are often the same figures that assisted in the actual manifestation of many of the originating systems of material existence as a whole, as purely alpha spirits, prior to their choosing to inhabit a physical form as a means of interacting with said existence. Now, I can't be sure if this is the same tendency that was later instilled in humans, but for some reason there is this inclination to do because it can be done. So the means for infinite manifestation were essentially there to begin with and manipulated by the highest minds in the universe. The problem with the selection of corporeal existences and bodies was an issue that if I had been around, would have been easily been able to point out. And the problem is, once you get in, how do you get out? And they've even made a Simpsons episode about this. The little genius Lisa shrinking down to be able to experience a realm she in essence created and then getting stuck there. The reality is, however, slightly more complicated, since we found that the longer material existence is interacted with, the more strongly the alpha spirit would assimilate the material environment, especially the simulacrum being inhabited. Essentially, a physical existence proved addicting and caused you to forget who you were. How shocking. Seriously, some things never change. They just duplicate, divide, and grow. The reason the Anunnaki were able to manipulate time-space and then even physically appear as they did to ancient humans goes back to the very reason they are thought to be alien in the first place. We are talking about a superior intelligence of material systems, in addition to being able to further manipulate programs from the inside and employ advanced technologies.